guys, recent videos I've been talking a lot about different elements of shooting and things like that. Just stuff that I've picked up over the years because I'm always changing stuff and taking notes and stuff like that. I think the last couple videos I talked about head position. One was up and down, so vertical head position, and the other was lateral head position. This time I'm going to talk about, I guess, longitudinal head position, forward and backwards. There shouldn't be too much to this, but I do tend to ramble sometimes, if you never noticed that. When I talk about longitudinal, easy for me to say front to back, I'm talking about the difference between, think like, if you remember like Grady Matthews back in the day, up here, or most players now, especially the Filipinos, back here. I really think the biggest thing about this is be consistent, just like everything else. If you can be consistent. I know the guy that changes styles more often than he changes his socks is saying be consistent. But, you know, I recommend doing what I say, not what I do. Anyway, so if you're consistent, I don't think it matters too much. If you're up here with your chin here, or if you're back with your chin here, or as long as you're consistent about it, as consistent as you can be. But there are other differences that I think you just kind of have to be aware of. If I get a shot and I am up close to the cue ball, way up here like this, way up here, I know where I'm going to hit that cue ball. I mean, my eyes are, what, a foot and a half from the cue ball. I know where I'm going to hit it. If I'm going to put right English, left English, whatever, I think you know what I'm talking about there. What I'm not so sure about is the direction the cue ball is going to take, because I can only see a little bit of the cue, and the cue is my shot line. I can only see a little bit of that. If, on the other hand, I'm back pretty far, I can see that shot line. I know that the direction that cue ball is going to go in. But maybe, especially in my old age, I'm not as certain about where exactly I'm going to hit this cue ball. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be pretty close. But if I need to be exact, I may not be as exact about where I hit it. And just like most things, most extremes, people will generally find something in the middle. Something in the middle that is comfortable for them. Most players are not going to be like this with their stance. Most players are not going to be back here. They're going to find something in the middle. And as I said, if you're consistent about it, you're probably just absolutely fine. You're probably just fine. I don't think there's a clear cut, oh, this is better type of a winner in this little situation. It's whatever you're used to, whatever you're comfortable with. Just be aware of the differences. Another thing that can happen, and this is going to be harder to explain, is the closer I am, like, to the shot, to the cue ball, the algae ball, the pocket. In other words, the further forward my head is. Like most people that play pool, I have two eyes. Sure, one is dominant, one's not, whatever, but I still have two. And so there's a triangle between my two eyes and, let's say, the cue ball. If I'm up here close, this triangle, the base of the triangle, you could call it, is wider. It's a wider ratio. I'm thinking out loud here, guys, bear with me, than if I'm back here. What I'm getting at is you're going to have better depth perception the closer you are to the shot. If you're way back, you're not going to have as good of depth perception. You're going to have really good shot line perception because you've got most of the cue showing you the shot line. But you're not going to have as good a depth perception. If you're way up, you're going to be able to see the cue ball contact point really well. And you're going to have better depth perception because you're closer to the action. And that triangle, that vision triangle between the cue ball, left eye, right eye, is a wider ratio between the base of the triangle and the sides. If that doesn't make any sense, ask me a question in the comments and I'll try to answer. I don't know if I can explain it any better. It might already make sense to you guys, and you may say, well, it doesn't matter because you've got a set distance. You don't need to change it. So if you get into a situation where you have to change your head position, if you're just aware, hey, I have to be further back on the cue. I don't know. You have a stretched out shot. You're really stretched out on a shot, and you can't reach it with your normal head position. So you're stretched out and you're back here this time. Just be aware you're not going to have as good a depth perception as you might normally have. If you have a situation where you're hampered some other way, I'm trying to think of an example of that right now. I don't know if I will. Maybe when you're elevated, if you're elevated, my chin is definitely in front of the joint. In that case, I'm going to have better depth perception, which is, a good thing, I would say generally. But it could also just change your perception of what's going on. You're seeing an angle a certain way, and all of a sudden you're seeing it a little bit differently. I don't think any of this front or back head position makes a whole lot of difference. Remember I talked about not being able to see the shot line? Well, that was it. That was part of it right there. Part of it was that I don't stroke straight when I'm elevated, but just pretend that the whole reason I missed that ball was because I couldn't see the shot line as well as I could have if I hadn't been up so damn close to the ball. If I've been back here, I can absolutely see the shot line. Absolutely. And sometimes even make the shot, I have another couple head position type of things, and I've been thinking I want to do those. I'm just going to combine them. And I think that's still what I'm going to do, combine them, like in my next video or whatever. So I have talked about up to down head position. How high is your head above the cue? Left to right, which is basically about, do you shoot with your dominant eye over the shot line, your vision center over the shot line, something else over the shot line? Be consistent. Be consistent about up and down if you can. This longitudinal, this front to back, same thing. Be consistent. There are no winners or losers in any of these scenarios. Well, there are. The winner is be consistent. The loser is don't be consistent. And if you have to be inconsistent, for you're stretched out, you're jacked up or something like that, at least be aware of what the differences are. I really do think it helps. I don't think it's anything to obsess over. Anybody that's been playing for any length of time, they know when it feels right. Just like bridge length, I talked about that before too. Just like bridge, they know when it feels right. If I have a shorter bridge than normal, I can feel that. If my grip band is further forward or back than normal, I can feel that. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with this whole series, is just talk about some of the differences. Not so you know what not to do, but mainly just so you know what that difference is going to do to you. And that's all this front to back head thing is here. That's all it is. And so that's it for this video. And as always, thanks guys.